Caps for sale. Once there was a peddler who sold caps, but he was not like an ordinary peddler carrying his wares on his back. He carried them on top of his head. First he had his own checked cap, then a bunch of Yankees caps, then a bunch of Boulders caps, then a bunch of Chabot caps, and on the very top, a bunch of golf caps. He stood on the sidewalk, holding himself very straight so as not to upset his caps. As he was there, he called, "Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." One morning, he couldn't sell any caps. He stood on the sidewalk calling, "Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." But nobody wanted any caps that morning. Nobody even wanted a golf cap. He began to feel very hungry, but he had no money for lunch. "I think I'll go for a walk in this yard," said he, and he walked off of the sidewalk slowly, so as not to upset his caps. He walked for a little while until he came to a great big tree. "That's a nice place for a rest," thought he, and he sat down very slowly under the tree and leaned back little by little against the tree trunk so as not to disturb the caps on his head. Then he put his hand to feel if all the caps were straight and steady. They were all there, so he went to sleep. He slept for a long time. When he woke up, he was refreshed and rested, but before standing up, he felt with his hand to make sure his caps were in the right place. All he felt was his own checked cap. The peddler quickly got up. He looked to the right of him, no caps. He looked to the left of him, no caps. He looked in back of him, no caps. Then he looked onto the hammock, and what do you think he saw? Why, there was a person, and on the hammock were the Yankees, Boulders, Chabot, and golf caps. The peddler looked at the person. The person looked at the peddler. He didn't know what to do. Finally, he spoke to them. "You person, you," he said, shaking a fist at him. "You give me back my caps." The person only wagged his finger back at him and said, "My property, my caps." This made the peddler angry, so he shook both hands at them and said, "But they are mine. Give me back my caps." But the person only scoffed at him and said, "My property, my caps." Now the peddler felt quite angry. He stamped his foot and said, "You person, you better give me back my caps." The person only stamped his foot back and said, "My property, my caps." By this time, the peddler was really very, very angry. He stamped both his feet and shouted, "You person, you must give me back my caps." The person only stamped both their feet back at him and said, "My property, my caps." At last, the peddler became so angry that he pulled off his own cap, threw it on the ground, and began to walk away. But then the person said to him, "What are the magic words?" The peddler turned back to him and said, "I'm sorry for trespassing, and can I please have my caps back?" The person said, "I accept your apology, and yes, you can." And he gave the peddler back all the Yankees caps, and all the Boulders caps, and all the Chabot caps, and all the golf caps. He also put the check cap back on the peddler. The peddler got the caps and thanked the man. He set off with his caps and once again stood on the sidewalk calling, "Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap."